investors, especially those that have been in the market for long enough, they anticipate returns that may not necessarily be realistic in a market like we have today, that's full of liquidity, potentially overheated. How do you deal with that? How do you explain to investors? How do you articulate that what you saw yesterday? And you already kind of use this as a provisor, right? Past returns, nothing about the future, blah, blah. But I mean, realistically, that's the case, right? Investors are used to higher returns. How do you sell deals in a 3-cap market, for example?
So it's a really good question. I think there are a couple parts to it. One, and this is part of the practical business point behind why we have a smaller network, is that it's much easier for us to communicate things like this to a group of 800 to 1,000 people than it would, 20 or 30,000 people, right? We can spend the time getting on the phone, having real conversations with anyone who wants to in the network about, how we view the current environment, what their return expectations should be, et cetera, right? Now, fortunately, a lot of these people have been investing through multiple cycles. And so they know there are good times and bad times, and they come and go and what have you. But you're right, it's a behavioral economics question, right? You throw massive numbers in front of people, you set a massively high benchmark. All of a sudden, they're disappointed with what would otherwise be, a really strong return. And so there's no way to stop people from feeling the way that they feel about the return expectations, right? We just try to make sure we educate people. We write a lot of kind of quarterly, what we call alpha insights. We do a lot of white papers where we talk about our strategy, just try to get everyone on the same page that we are, right? At the end of the day, it's an exercise in investor education. I know this is something that you do a lot of as well. And so we're just trying to kind of share, our version of what we see in the marketplace, and, hope that people understand. And then, of course, we put a ton of qualifications on things, right? Like I'm, as you can tell, the type of person who I'm going to lead with, this is why what I'm about to tell you, needs to be qualified, by whatever, proviso you want to add in there, right? And, as an individual, I am not a huge fan of investor protections, but based on my training as a lawyer, I realize they're really important, right? And it's because there's these types of opportunities for investors to behave in a way that's irrational, like the benchmark effect, as we call it in behavioral economics, that you sometimes need some amount of regulation, right? To make sure that there aren't groups out there that are, taking something that happens and presenting it in a way that is misrepresentative. And I'll tell you, and I'm sure you're on the same emails that I am, see a ton of deals coming from a ton of different people that I've never met before in my inbox. And a lot of them more recently have been, this is a home run deal, invest now, limited spots. They play on all of those behavioral economics marketing things that get people to say, I need to invest right now. If I don't say yes in the next 3 hours, someone's going to get my spot and I'm going to miss out. And that's always problematic to me. And it's not a direct answer to your question, but the point I'm trying to make is that you got to choose your lane, so to speak. And we've chosen the lane where we're going to err on the side of being very conservative and overly transparent.